This is example 2 for the Hole Wizards and Sketch-Driven Patterns lesson. A starting point file is required. Example 2 again uses some base geometry to get started. So I opened my starting point file and saved a copy of it in my working directory as example 2. Now to begin this example, we're going to select the top face of our hat-shaped part and then select Features and Hole Wizard. In this example, we want to use a hole with a size of 3/4 of an inch and then condition of through all, and we want a near side and a far side countersink using a 60-degree countersink. We'll go to Positions, and again I don't need to add any more points, so I'll get out of my point command. I'm going to look normal to, and then drag that point over top of the origin. With my point over the origin, I can select OK, and we have a 3/4 inch hole through the top of our hat. Now let's select the top face of our lip, and again select Features and Hole Wizard. In this case, we want to use a countersunk hole. Again, 1/4 inch, so that's fine. We'll apply our far side countersink and then go to Positions. I'll look normal too. Now for this part, we want to use a sketch pattern, but this time I'm going to select the drop down and we're going to use a circular sketch pattern. Again, we can select the point that we want to pattern. I want to do equal spacing. We're going to say add dimensions. We want to pattern 6 holes. By default, it's patterning around the origin, so that's perfect. And then we can select OK. Now you'll see that the pattern again is not fully defined. Even though it said it was patterning around the origin, it doesn't lock that relationship in, so we need to grab that center point and lock it into the origin. Now the pattern still rotates, so I'm going to select the vertical line and force that to be vertical. And lastly, we have this dimension here that we can use to define the radius of our pattern. And now we have our fully defined sketch pattern. So I can simply accept those settings, and I have applied a bolt circle to my part. The next holes are perpendicular through the side face of this hat, and there's going to be 2 steps to that. First of all, I'm going to select my top plane that crosses through the middle of that boss, and I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. I'll look normal to it. Then with my point command, I'm going to add 2 points to the outer curved surface. Sorry, it's difficult to see what's going on here because of the chamfers. But to the outer surface, and I want those points to be horizontal from the origin and this point to be vertical from the origin. So they're now fully defined, and they're on the side faces of my part because I sketched on that top plane that cuts through the middle there, and I created them coincident to that outer face. So I can save and exit that sketch. Now I have the 2 points where I want my holes to go. The next step is to select my features and my hole wizard, and I'm going to select a tapped hole. I want to select a 632. The end condition will be up to next. And I can then select positions. Now you'll see because I hadn't yet selected a face, the faces are highlighting red when I hover over them, and that's the face that our hole is going to be perpendicular to. So it's important that I select not the point, but the face. So I create my holes perpendicular to that face. And once I've created my two perpendicular holes to that face, I'll then press escape to get out of my point command and drag my points to be coincident to those points. Had I simply selected the point, by default the hole may have been going straight vertically or straight horizontally. But by selecting the face, my hole is forced to be perpendicular to that face, and then I use those previously selected sketches to lock in the exact position of that hole on the curved surface. There are other ways to lock those points in, but this is the way I find the easiest to lock in those points. We can now select accept, and we now have two perpendicular tapped holes